Hey, Billy, do you want to do a live stream?
Yeah, man, I'd love to do a live stream. What about you, Gramps?
All right, I say we do a live stream, baby. Let's fucking rock this thing. What do you think there, sir?
I say we fucking do it! Let's do it!
We are family. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How the hell are you? My name is Dave McRae. It is Thursday, August the 29th, 2019. I believe, is it not Michael Jackson's birthday today? Is his birthday the 29th of August? I thought it was. Maybe I'm completely incorrect on that. I might be incorrect on that, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Hey, how's everybody doing? This is a Thursday night live AMA. This is an Ask Me Anything, whatever the hell you guys want to talk about. I am ready. Popeye129 says, hello, David. May the force be with you and with you, sir. So, whatever questions you guys have, if you want to pick my brain, feel free to do so. This is your opportunity to do so as usual. Let's see, I've only been on the air for a couple of minutes. We have 76 people watching. Who knows how high that's going to go, or maybe it'll go even lower. We have no idea. So, as usual, if I don't get to all your questions, it's never personal. That's just the case. That is the situation. Looks like the chat room is alive and well. Wherever you are in the world, I am broadcasting live from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It is 7:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so twilight is beginning to sort of, not quite twilight. It's dusk. It's starting to look a bit dusky out. Let's see here. FMM Forever says, have you seen Ready or Not? I have not seen Ready or Not yet. I have not. Justin Avery says, hi, my birthday is coming up soon. Can you please give me a shout out and say happy birthday and what you think of the new Halloween movie and the 2 new Halloween movies coming out? Justin, that's a whole lot of stuff going on there. But because it's your birthday, I will say happy birthday to you, Justin. I hope you are doing well. What do I think of the new Halloween movie and the 2 new Halloween movies coming out? Well, the new Halloween movie, it's on my channel, Justin. If you are new to my channel, I encourage you to go on to my channel and find the epic Halloween 2018 review. I give you my thoughts there. And what do I think about the 2 new movies coming out? Not much yet, because we don't have much to go on. So I'm always cautiously optimistic when a new Halloween movie hits the horizon. I'm always pulling for movies to be good. So we shall see. Super chat from Brandon Barry. Thank you, Brandon. Says, Dave, what do you think of Quentin Tarantino? What do you think if Quentin Tarantino would have written Halloween 6? I don't know, man. It's so hard to say. Like, these types of questions, I appreciate the question, but it's so, I don't know. I mean, it's like, it probably would have been weird. Let's put it that way. I really don't know what I think. You know, it's like, I think people have to understand that I think when people ask questions like this, it's like, I don't know. Like, I think of Tarantino writing Halloween 6. I don't know. It probably would have been weird. I don't know what else to say. I'm not really sure. I know that's not really a glitzy answer, but I'm just not really sure. Let's see here. Darren Sands is in the house. He says, let's talk Kyle Richards. Yes. For those of you that may or may not, Kyle Richards, who played Lindsay Wallace in the original 1978 film, she posted to her Instagram that she is going to be having a big announcement soon. Now, before everybody loses their shit and starts having orgasms, that could mean a number of 45 billion things. It could mean, holy shit, she's going to announce she's in Halloween Kills. Maybe. It could also mean that she's announcing another season of whatever Housewives thing she's on, or that she got her hair done, or that she's absolutely in love with her new makeup artist, or I have no idea what it could mean. But it could mean what inevitably Halloween fans will be pulling for it to mean. But I don't know. I'm not too sure if it means that or not. So we'll have to wait and see, and if it actually does mean that. Let's see here. 94 people in the chat room Thursday night. Robert Ford says, hi, Dave. Now that they are bringing back Tommy Doyle, what about bringing back Lindsay? Well, I've often said, if it serves the purpose, if it serves the story and the narrative, and it doesn't feel shoehorned in, okay. One of the, like in my sequel concept, I had brought back Tommy and Lee Brackett. And there were there were a few comments that I would get from people saying, well, why didn't you bring back Lindsay? Why didn't you bring back, that person or this person? And the main reason is because you don't want your movie to be too crowded. You don't want it. If you want to do a movie where you have a little bit of, fan service in there, that's fine, but it's still got to feel organic. It's still got to feel like Tommy and Lindsay are there for a reason. I mean, is it likely that both Tommy and Lindsay never left Haddonfield? Or maybe they both came back, or one left and one returned. It's possible. It's a small town. But I don't want it to just be a cameo, because then it's bullshit. It's just fan service for the sake of fan service. And if you're going to do fan service, I'm okay with that. Totally okay with that. But it's got to feel organic. It's really got to feel like she serves a purpose. If all we're going to see is that, oh, look, Lindsay Wallace she's the convenience store clerk that has 30 seconds of screen time. No, I don't care. I really don't care. I'd rather her not there. That's how I feel about it. So, Tommy and Lee Brackett in my concept were there to serve the story. It was unnecessary to bring back Lindsay at all. So I'm okay with it as long as it's not 30 seconds, like it serves a purpose, So, but I think the less the better, because it's more realistic that way. It's unnecessary. I brought back Lee, like in my concept, Charles Cyphers was Lee Brackett. But I made that concept knowing very well that Charles Cyphers is also 80 years old and retired. So he still could be in the new movie. He still could be, but there is no evidence for it yet, and there is no reliable concrete official announcement for it yet. So we'll see. Brendan Morrow says, hello from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Is that where you're from? Well, hello, Brandon. I grew up in Ottawa. I wasn't born there. I was born here in Toronto, but I spent from the age of 10 to about the age of 20 there. I went to high school there. I lived in Nepean. I went to Sir Robert Borden High School. Let's see. The J Hookmaster says, Mr. McRae, have you seen the final Joker trailer? Spoiler alert, looks pretty darn fantastic. Yes, I have. If you're not following me on social media, you gotta follow me on either on Twitter or my Facebook page. I did post in the community section here on Facebook as well. I did see the trailer. I loved it. I thought it was great. I can't wait to see it. David Appa says, hey Dave, hope you're doing good. Would you like Halloween Resurrection if Jamie Lee Curtis didn't die? No. no. I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what kind of a movie it would have been had she not have been killed. But if the rest of the story was the same, it's pretty shitty. So no, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. And look, I just want to talk here for a moment because this seems to be hot news. John Carpenter saying that, no, Halloween's not gonna, end after Halloween. Of course he's going to say that. Money, 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 money. Say it with me now. Money. Of course he's going to say that. John Carpenter is at an age now. He's over the age of 70. I'm sure he'd be glad to reap the residual benefits of a check as the creator of the characters. But keep in mind that the more sequels they make, they will be back where they started. If Blumhouse thinks they can make 46 Halloween sequels that are really good, they are fucking idiots. Fucking idiots. And they're not idiots. And they don't think that. So, I believe Halloween Ends will be the end of Halloween as we know it. Absolutely. Where it goes from there, I don't know. I'm not sure. And when I say as we know it, I do think they're going to try and bring some sort of satisfying conclusion to the Laurie Michael story. But I don't want any more. I'm done. And I'm not done because I'm not a fan. I'm done because I am a fan. I care about quality over quantity. And I don't want to see Michael get driven into the roadside again like they did with the other fucking sequels. I don't want to see it, man. Okay, you make 3 movies. Great, I'm out. Reboot it, 30 years from now when there's a reason to reboot it. Not 5 years from now when it's like, what are you doing rebooting it? Why? It's only been 5 years, right? But this is show business. And the longer you go and I go, I don't go, but I'm just saying you, I mean the collective you, not you personally. The longer you go to the movie theater to see garbage, they will continue to dish it out because it's about, look, if garbage movies make money, they will continue to make them. Because it's not that filmmakers necessarily intend to make garbage, but with Michael Myers, he has a shelf life. It's only a matter of time. They're making 2 new sequels. Okay, great. John Carpenter says, he's not going to die, the Halloween's going to continue on. Yeah, but in what sort of capacity, right? Is Michael going to live on, or is Halloween going to live on? Well, Halloween might live on, maybe in an anthology series, right? Maybe it'll be an anthology thing to Netflix or something, where they explore old Charlie Bowles. Or maybe there'll be a season of the Witch movie. Or, yeah, okay, I could see that. But Michael Myers? Oh, God. Let it go! That's my opinion. Let's see. I know that's not exciting for you people that just want more Michael all the time, but it's not. I love the character, and that's why I know when it's time to let it go. Like you want to go out on a high note. It's like a sitcom that, is entering its 13th season, and you're like, yeah, probably should have ended about 5 seasons ago. Do you know what I mean? Go out on a high note. That's how I feel. Oh, man. Let's see here. Zach Axiola at Dave McRae. If given the opportunity, would you take up the offer either of directing a new Nightmare on Elm Street film or taking on the role of Freddy Krueger himself? Yeah, of course. If somebody came to me and said, hey, we want you to do that, would you do that? Yeah, for sure. I'd definitely be interested in it. David Johnson says, what do you like to do in your free time? And what was the best part of your day today? Hey, that's a great question. In my free time, I like to hang with friends that I haven't seen in a long time. And I also like to run. I like to jog. I like to work out. So I do that, of course, hang with my girlfriend as well. We like to go places, go downtown, go to movies, go shopping, just I'm really kind of chill that way. You know what I mean? I'd love to get more into, sports again. When I was a teenager, I was involved in hockey and things like that. And I would love to get involved in that again, not on a professional level, obviously, but just join like a men's league where, guys my age kind of, we get together and we play some shinny hockey, as they say, just pick up hockey. Essentially, I'd love to do that again. So I'm pretty easygoing and relaxed, but the free time comes very far and few between because of how busy I am. So, and sometimes I just like to lie in bed with maybe a small bag of chips or something or whatever and just watch a movie and do nothing. Not look at my phone, not, talk to my agent, nothing. Just sit there and just check out for, an entire day. Sometimes that's really nice. Great question. Thank you. And the best part of my day today, I don't know. Talking to you guys. How's that? I know that's such a that's such a cop-out answer. Let's see. Jeff Nelson says, Dave, do you think in your opinion that Christopher Walken, hello, come on, Walken, would make a good character in one of the next 2 Halloween films? Yeah, he would. Not a lead character. He's a little too eccentric and a little too, Christopher Walken. But maybe he's that old guy that, they knock on the door and he's like, hello, come on in. And you go inside and he's like, so Michael Myers, he was there. He was evil, or something. I don't know, something like that. You get a Walken thing happening, and then that's kind of it. You know what I mean? You don't want to be listening to Christopher Walken through an entire Halloween movie. Michael, come on! Ah! He's like, oh my God, no. Let's see here. Dude says, hey Dave, have you seen The Blob 1988 yet? I have not. I want to, the 1988 one. No, I haven't. It's the 88 one. There's an original one too though, right? Like from the 50s or something, or 60s? I thought the 88 one was a remake. If the 88 one's the remake, I haven't seen that. Kevin Lancer says, hey David, thoughts on The Matrix 4? I was a big fan of the first Matrix. Didn't really like the other two. So I don't really care, really. It's been so long that I'm just like, all right. It just kind of feels like, well, the Wachowski, I guess they're not brothers anymore, right? They're sisters or siblings, I guess they go by now. It feels like because they're Jupiter Rising, I think that was them, right? Because that didn't do very well. And they haven't really... I don't know, it feels kind of like, hey,
Want to do Matrix 4?
it's like, is it really necessary? No. Is any movie necessary? No. But anyways, it feels just a little too shticky, a little too opportunistic. It doesn't feel like it's something that is, we definitely need to, so I'm just don't really care about it. But I might start to care about it when it gets going. Who knows? Hey, Nerd Report! Hey, Lewis is here. Great to see you, Lewis. Dave, during an interview, Jabrail Nantambu told Halloween Daily News that he will be in that. Is that the kid? Is that the young kid? I think that's him. I probably butchered his name. Jabrail Nantambu? That's a cool name. I would say that yes, that's the kid. Okay, thanks, Louis. I don't really care. I thought and think the kid is fucking adorable. He is an adorable little boy, and he did what he was directed to do. But his character, I couldn't care less about. It's not personal to him. We're talking about the character. I couldn't care less about the character. I thought the character was utilized incorrectly. And I thought he was utilized for too much comic relief, especially in moments where there should have been none of it. When Michael comes out of the closet. Oh, shit! And it's just like, fuck. Anyway, so he's coming back? All right. Why? We don't know who. How does he fit into the story? His parents weren't in the movie, so I just don't understand how he fits into the story. How is he coming back? And he said it. Blumhouse hasn't announced it. Universal hasn't announced it. Whoever represents this little boy hasn't announced it. So it's not to say that he isn't. He's certainly old enough to be able to know right from wrong and to know whether or not he is going to be in it or not. But I really couldn't care less whether he was in it or not. He wasn't. He's a cute little kid, but his character was useless at the end of the day. And it's too bad because his character could have been awesome. Let's see here. Super chat from Dominic Venturino. Thank you, Dominic. Dave, what movie do you think is ready for a reboot? Ready for a reboot? I don't know. My thoughts on reboots are no movie needs to be rebooted, obviously. But if you're going to reboot a movie or remake a movie, right? Because reboot, like a reboot and a remake, although they're interchangeable, the terms reboot, remake, reimaging, you can break it down. There are some differences. A reboot can be a remake, but a remake isn't necessarily a reboot. Usually franchises are rebooted, right? Like Star Wars, The Force Awakens wasn't a remake. It was a reboot. Rebooting. Like the engine had been turned off for 10 years and they started the car again. They rebooted it, right? Like turning off your computer and rebooting your computer. And Star Wars is a franchise. It's a series. So you're rebooting sort of a series. But despite what no,
it's nothing but A New Hope over again.
well, it's actually technically not. It's literally not a remake of A New Hope. It's actually not. It's not called A New Hope. It doesn't follow Luke and Han and Leia and Obi-Wan and it's literally not a remake of A New Hope. So it's not a remake, like in the sense of how Ghostbusters 2016 was a remake of Ghostbusters 1984, right? But that was also a reimagining because it was different contexts and different, like you can get specific, but I like to think of reboot as a term that is thrown into series. So what series do I think needs to be rebooted? I don't know if any series needs to be rebooted, but, yeah, I'm not sure, but there's definitely... That's a good question. What movie do I think needs to be remade? I think that stories are always going to be told over and over and over again. And because sometimes technology affords us the opportunity to tell stories better, especially if the movie is relies heavily on effects that are outdated now. Like the movie that's directed by Nick Castle, The Last Starfighter, great movie. The effects are really dated now. That's a movie that could use a remake, right? So I wouldn't mind seeing a remake to that. When I met Nick Castle about 4 or 5 years ago, he said that, now he's retired now for all intents and purposes, but he said that he would love to do a sequel to that film, which obviously it never got off the ground. But so it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Just know that I think as long as you look at a series or a one-off film and you say, is it more relevant today? Is it more relevant today? Can we make this movie better today? And if the answer is yes, then why not do it? Or sometimes it's like, well, it's not about the effects, but the story was ahead of its time 30 years ago. And now the themes and the plot are so relevant today, maybe we should remake it for today's audiences. Well, then maybe you should think about it, right? So those are the kind of things that I tend to think about when I think of, whether or not a movie needs to be rebooted or remade. Like a reimagining, like they are interchangeable, right? Like Ghostbusters 2016 was a remake, it was a reboot, and it was a reimagining, all in one. But you can also have them stand on their own as well. It's tricky. It's really tricky. I should do a video. I think I did a video on this a year and a half ago or something. I should do another one. I could go on and on here, but that's the ballpark of how I feel about it anyway. Howard D says, Star Wars was never rebooted. Star Wars absolutely was rebooted. You see, you have to understand that a reboot is not a remake. Reboot means that films are not currently being made. Right? So, Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005, and that was the end. Now, that doesn't mean that there weren't, the Clone Wars, and there weren't cartoons, and there weren't comics and things like that. But in terms of the cinematic experience of the live-action narrative, it was dormant for 10 years. There were no films. And The Force Awakens rebooted that, right? It got it back up and running again. So absolutely, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. in the purest definition of the term. It's not a remake and it's not a reimagining per se, but it's definitely a reboot, right? It's rebooting it back up again. That's how you have to look at it. Howard D says a 6 sequel is not a reboot. No, I don't think you're understanding it, Howard. Yeah, like you have to understand that it's you know, again, it's lying dormant, right? It's not a remake, it's a reboot, right? So it's like turning it off. They turned off the live action films. They're not touching it. There probably was never going to be a 7th film. And then all of a sudden, they turned it back on again. That's what reboot is, right? Rebooting it back up again. That's how I see it anyway. Legendary23 says, what do you think of Aliens? Aliens or Alien? Aliens? Love it. Haven't seen it in a long time, but love it. Anthony Scarpula says, hey, Dave, do you like Return of the Living Dead 1984? Haven't seen it in a long time, but I don't know. Dawn of the Dead, I love the original. The remake is good too. Night of the Living Dead is one of my favorites. The original from George A. Romero. Let's see here. Did I miss any super chats? I did. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, good. Just want to make sure I'm not missing any super chats. 141 people watching. You guys are amazing as usual. If I don't answer your question, it's nothing personal. You guys know the drill. Crystal Lake Counselor says, last time I asked, in episode 3, Palpatine hinted that he manipulated the Force to create Anakin. He did. He hinted at it. Yes, that's right. Why hasn't the saga explored this revelation more? Could Rey be his latest creation? Well, I think the reason why they probably haven't explored it more is because of a little evil word called midichlorians. So I think that when they began to make The Force Awakens, they wanted to distance themselves as far as ways they could from that. It's canon, it absolutely is, but it's unfortunate in a lot of ways because the Force is supposed to be, like, the Force is not... Yeah, I mean, the Force should have remained this mysterious energy field that surrounds us and combines us, you know, and anybody can, in theory, tap into it. You just have to know how. And to be able to manipulate the midichlorians in Anakin's mother to create life and that kind of thing, it seemed just a little like, why are we explaining all this? You know, so I think that's probably why, but I do think there is a inconspicuous way you can go about acknowledging that without having to, not a lot of people like the midichlorians thing. It just feels too like, really? So that's what it is? So it's just all in the blood, and if you have blood, like, what doesn't make any, I think if George had gone about it kept it a little more philosophical rather than science-based, I think the acceptance would have been better. Like maybe, you know, it's believed that there might be something in the blood, that it's believed that maybe some people have something, that it's believed that there could be on some kind of, if they had kept it in that realm, in the little more philosophical area, and not like, no, it is, we know, midichlorians. It's kind of like, it demystifies it, right? And it adds a whole kind of, wait a minute, wait. So that's it, right? And I think the Force should remain this mysterious kind of thing that we don't really know anything about, right? Like I'm a believer that there is, the Force in and of itself is not dark or light, right? The Force is completely neutral, but you can use it for good or you can use it for bad. It's like owning a gun, you know, or something like that, right? So you can tap into like if you are, you know, an evil person or you have evil intentions, you can use that power for bad, and therefore, you know, it corrupts it, and you can use it you can go deep into the darkness of the power of its full potential, right? And you can use it for pure evil, or you can use it for pure good. But the Force in and of itself, it doesn't pick sides, you know, and I think it should remain in that mystery spot. So, but could Rey be his latest creation? Yeah, he could be. Or she could be. I'm hoping it's something like that, man. They have to stick this landing like they never have before. Now, in JJ, I trust. I like The Force Awakens, but I don't know if Disney, who's the one that really calls the shots, I'm hoping they allow the more philosophical, deeper themes to unfold here, because this is it. This is the end. You know, it's gotta be deep. You know, I gotta walk out of there going, whoa, like, yeah, like, talk about the, you know, the balance and the light and the dark and the gray Jedi and fucking shit, or, you know, the cloning and shit, whatever. Like, this is it, man. You know, which is why I'm hoping Dark Ray is not just, you know, a vision. You know what I mean? Because it's like, really, come on, pull the trigger. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Let me see. A lot of questions. You guys are amazing. The A button says, will there be any more Hallow streams? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't heard. I'm ready when they are. They just have to give me the dates of when they want to do it, and I'll do it. But I haven't heard. Jeffrey Lane says, Dave, what do you think about the DCEU and the Snyder cut? I'm the biggest Superman fan, and how do you think of the portrayal of Henry Cavill's Superman? Well, okay. There isn't a Snyder cut. My understanding is that there isn't a full-fledged, ready to be released theatrical version that Zack Snyder has available does not exist. Could there be a rough version somewhere where things are not, you know, like it's not all pieced together, but like a second or third draft, maybe? Yeah, that might exist. But is there a stack of Blu-rays in a warehouse that say the Zack Snyder cut? Right? You know, and it's like this 3.5 hour mind-blowing. No, that does not exist. That does not exist. So, I haven't seen Justice League either, so I'm not really sure. And, I'm the biggest Superman fan. How do you think? I like Henry Cavill as Superman. And I think it's unfortunate that that it doesn't look like he's going to be able to play him any longer. Cody May says a faithful reboot of Hellraiser would be amazing. There used to be rumors. Yeah, there used to be. Pinhead's not one of my favorite characters. I don't hate him. It's just I've watched maybe the first movie, maybe the second movie. I'm not really a big Hellraiser fan, so I couldn't care less whether they made one or not. It's like Candyman. They've started shooting in Chicago now, and I couldn't care less whether a new Candyman comes out or not. But I'm always pulling for shit. I hope it's good. Anthony Alcaraz says, would you want to see a remake of Halloween Season of the Witch? They should just call it Season of the Witch. Yes, I would love to see a remake of Season of the Witch. And I want them to open it up. I think that Season of the Witch is, it's fine. It's, you know, dated, obviously. But there was a lot of untapped potential with that story and those themes. And I think you could remake that movie and potentially launch your own series from that movie alone. That has nothing to do with Michael Myers. And there's a lot of untapped potential there. So yes, I would like to see something like that. Kenny _525 says, I think the Savini Night of the Living Dead remake better than the original. Was that the TV one? I don't know if I've seen that. I know the one you're talking about, though. Let me see here. Ryan Webster says, is Darkseid Ray an evil twin? Twins are prevalent in canon story of Star Wars. Maybe. I mean, it's so hard to know what the fuck is going on in this trilogy. Not because of J.J. Abrams. I know J.J. Abrams gets a lot of, flack. But it's not because of him. It's because Rian Johnson looked at what J.J. was doing and thought, I'm going to do my own thing. And you can't do that as the second man in. Now, should they have laid out the entire story of the 3 films beforehand? Yes. That doesn't mean that things won't change or evolve or you adjust things. That happens all the time. But should there have been a blueprint of what was going to happen over 3 films? 100%. Was there? Absolutely not. There was not. But if you are going to play it the way they did, if you're going to do it the way they did, I'll make this and then you take over. Okay, let's do it that way. JJ did nothing wrong. He did absolutely nothing wrong. He set it up. That's what you do with the first act, right? You set it up. He came in. a strength of his as a filmmaker is the setup man. So he did what he did a great job, right? There's, the lightsaber, how did Maz, get that? What are those things mean that she saw, when she touched the lightsaber? Wow, who's Snoke? And, why is Luke there? And really cool shit. I thought it was cool shit. And we had this really cool arc with Kylo and his father. Okay. All right. Ryan comes in and tosses it all out. He tosses it out. You can't do that when you're the second man in. If you want to do your own fucking thing from the very beginning, that's fine. But you can't just come in and do that. The analogy I often like to use is like I say, once upon a time, there was an old man and he was sitting on a park bench drinking a bottle of water. Okay. And then I hand it off to you. And then you say, no, it was not an old man. It was a young baby. And it wasn't a park bench. It was a crib. And it wasn't a bottle of water. It was a soother. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You've just killed everything that I set up. And now this is partly why this trilogy feels disjointed, because we don't really know what the fuck the story is. There's a lot of great characters here. There's a lot of great scenes and great moments and cool things that happen, but what the fuck is going on? And so I think JJ, who was the first one in, knows, and Ryan took a lot of the notes that JJ had given him and tossed them out. So Rian Johnson fucked up this trilogy, no doubt. 100%. I'm not saying he's a bad filmmaker, because I don't think he is. I think he's very talented. Very talented. But I don't know what the fuck was going on. It's like he was being avant-garde for the sake of being avant-garde. And that simply means like doing, cool, risky sort of things. It's just like, yeah, but you don't do that just for the sake of doing it. It's got to make sense. Anyway, I could go on and on and on. So, is Rey an evil twin? I will take an evil twin. I'll take a clone. I'll take that she's tapped into the dark side within her because she realizes that in order to bring true balance to the galaxy, she needs to go dark as well and be like a gray sort of, Jedi. I'll take any of the above a vision. Unfortunately, we have one movie left. And there's a lot of shit that JJ has to tell and express in one movie. There's a lot of things he's got to explain in one movie. It's unfortunate that JJ didn't just do this entire trilogy, that he didn't just do, the second film and I would have, yeah, I don't know. In JJ I trust, but he's got to stick the landing. This has got to be deep and profound and like, wow. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, make no mistake about it. TLJ has Star Wars right now. It was not The Force Awakens. It wasn't. In my opinion. Super chat came in from, let's see here, Howard D. Thank you, Howard. Much appreciated. Okay, so you feel a late sequel is a reboot. I often see a reboot as restating a franchise with significant differences, but I get what you're saying, Dave. P.S. Reboot H3 as its own franchise. Well, reboot just means to start again. That's what reboot means. It's just to, turn off and turn on again, right? Like in the literal sense of the word, that's what it means. So it could mean what you say. It could mean what I say. The Force Awakens was rebooting Star Wars because it had been the live action cinematic experience, right? The movies, okay, is what I'm talking about. Because they had been dead for 10 years. And Star Wars the movies was in a very divisive place. A lot of people loathe those prequels. They've since come to kind of appreciate bits and pieces of them because of The Last Jedi. But by and large, the prequels are not liked. So, like I said, for guys my age, I don't know how old you are, Howard, but for guys my age who are in their 40s, that's why when The Force Awakens came out, we often said that we hadn't been waiting 10 years for a Star Wars movie. We had been waiting 32 years for a Star Wars movie. So, yeah, it's reboot means to just turn off and turn back on. You're rebooting something. So, it could mean a number of the above. Let's see. Joe Bucker. Hey, Dave, do you think they'd have the balls to do an anthology series like they did with Halloween 3 after Halloween Ends? I think they could. But yes. Well, I would like to see them do it. Do I think they have the balls to do it? I don't know. It's interesting because, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but yes, I do believe that you can only do so many more with Myers. So then what do you do? If you want to keep Halloween going, then I think that's something that you might want to explore. Now, do you do that theatrically? I don't know. But I do think exploring maybe a Season of the Witch anthology series might be cool for Netflix or, something like that. But I don't want to see a backstory to Michael Myers and watch him as a young boy with with Dr. Loomis at Smith's Grove. I don't care about that. I don't want to know anything about his backstory. I don't need to know. I don't want to know. He does not need to be demystified that way. But could you tell other anthology stories within the Halloween universe? Yes, and I think that is something that I think they should explore. And maybe it will be TV. Maybe it will be Netflix, right? But the Michael Myers story has got an end. Look, stories have beginning, middle, and an end. If you don't have a beginning, a middle, and if you don't have an end, then everything doesn't mean anything. It's just there. It's just existing. It doesn't mean anything. It just goes on and there's no point to anything, right? The value in the story is in knowing that it's going to end. And I understand that Michael is part human, part supernatural, but there are ways, like in my concept, that you can end Michael Myers and make people feel satisfied, even though he's been killed or whatever the case is. So, I would like to see it go that way. Personally. Doesn't mean it's going to be successful, but I think your chances are it being more successful if you go that way than if you just continue to make 10 more Michael Myers movies. Was there a super chat that came in? Oh, I already answered it. Thank you again, Howard. Much appreciated. Let's see here. Mike Skis says, hey, Dave, big fan. Thank you. Loved your Halloween sequel concept. Thank you. As far as Star Wars goes, where do you possibly think the series could go after they finish with the Skywalker family in episode 9? That's a great question, Mike. Thanks so much. I know that Benioff and Weiss are probably there's rumors that they're going to go back to the Knights of the Old Republic. And although that's cool, I've often wondered what it would be like if they went completely different. I don't mean different that it doesn't feel like Star Wars, but like even the Knights of the Old Republic is still in the line that leads up to the stories that we know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like maybe there's another galaxy, or maybe there's something else going on the other side of the galaxy that nobody's ever known, where, the Jedi don't exist, or, there's another ruler, a bad ruler that we just don't know about. I don't know. Just open it up a bit. I know that the Knights of the Old Republic is so, it's thousands and thousands of years before the Sith and all that. I get it. And I guess I'd be okay with that, but it's still within that line, it's still all the events that happen over the next 1,000 years all lead up to that. And I think it would just be so cool if there was a Star Wars story that was happening on the other side of the galaxy. On a planet that no one's ever heard of, that nobody knew about, but it's this great story with a villain or just something, I don't know. It sounds, I don't know, like one of the titles that people speculated on for The Force Awakens, before we knew it was The Force Awakens, there were rumors that it was going to be called The Ancient Fear. Do you remember that? The Ancient Fear. I got goosebumps when I heard that title and when I read it, and I still do now. There's something about The Ancient Fear it tells me it's so old and it's so like distant from that nobody knew about it. It's like coming from, it's something that nobody knows about, or I don't know. I just was so, even though this new film would be attached to the stories we know and love, there's something about wanting a story that is not connected in any way, shape, or form. Not even Knights of the Old Republic and thing, because it's still the Republic. It's the Old Republic, and no, something just, I don't know, But then some people might be like, but then it's not Star Wars. And I'm like, I understand, but I don't know. I just want something a bit different, I don't know. We'll see, but that's what I think would be cool, Let's see here. Just want to make sure no super chats. Okay, good. Let me see. I like to get people I have not necessarily seen before. Okay. Carter Orchestration. Orchestration, am I say? Yeah, I think that's right. Hey, Dave, have you seen the Halloween 1978 audience reaction video on YouTube? I have. Whether or not that's actually from an actual recording from 1978, I don't know. But it certainly matches up. It certainly lines up. I have seen it. Pretty cool stuff, if it is, in fact, real. Let me see here. Corrine Owen says, hey, Dave, apart from horror films, what other genres of films do you like? Do you have a fave comedy, etc.? Thank you for the question. Yes. Oh, of course. Some of my favorite comedies of all time would be, I go a bit old school because I'm just that kind of nostalgic kind of guy. My favorite comedies of all time would probably be Stripes, the original Ghostbusters, because it's no doubt a comedy, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The First Vacation, the one where they go to Wally World, The Great Outdoors, What About Bob? I like comedies. Comedies today are funny, but I don't know. They're just not what they used to be for some reason, at least in my eyes. Maybe I'm becoming that grumpy old guy that, get off my fucking lawn, you bitch. I don't know. Maybe I'm becoming that guy, but I don't know. I just, I don't laugh at movies the way that I did at those films. Dumb and Dumber is hilarious. Ace Ventura, really funny. So comedy would probably be my next favorite genre, although I do love the subgenre of horror, the psychological thriller. I do love that. And although funny enough, outside of Star Wars, I'm not a big fantasy person, which is strange. I love Star Wars, which is not really science fiction. It's more not really science. It's more fantasy. There's not a lot of science in Star Wars, okay? It's more fantasy. But I have, as I've gotten older, I've really come to appreciate Star Trek on levels that I did not as a child or as a teenager. And I think that's because Star Trek has always been much more cerebral and philosophical in nature. And unless you are maybe a smarter kid than I was, it's difficult to understand the themes and the stories and the bigger picture at play. And since I've become an adult, especially over the last 10 or 15 years, I've really come to appreciate the old Star Trek shows and the movies as well. So I like those too. So thanks for the question. Let me see here. Let me see. The Boogeyman says, Dave, do you think James Jude Courtney will be your favorite Michael Myers after Halloween ends? I don't know. I don't think so. I think James, we'll see what he does. We'll see what David Gordon Green, what positions and what situations he allows James Jude Courtney to be Michael Myers in, because he can only, be whatever the situation requires. So I don't know. I thought what I liked about James Jude Courtney's portrayal is that he was just being himself. See, that's one of the great things Whereas Dick Warlock was implementing a character. There's nothing wrong with Dick, but Dick doesn't walk like that, right? He was being robotic and and a lot of the other actors tend to do that, where one of the things that was very apparent about Nick Castle was he was just walking, like the famous quote from John Carpenter when he said, "I had Nick walk like a man, not a monster, to make him scary." So I believe James Jude Courtney was just essentially being himself. Now, he's consciously aware that he's playing a character, but he wasn't putting on any sort of, walk or stance or anything like that. He just was standing there. He was being a man. So I think that he at the very least will become my second favorite incarnation of the character, based on the pure fact that he's just a guy. He just comes off as a guy. So, yeah, that's what I think anyway. The Manhammer AR-15 says, Sir Dave of Toronto, do you think it's time for Disney to put the mouse back in the house? What do you mean? Do I think it's time for Disney to stop doing what? Yeah, you have to be a little more, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Tiffany Moses Sente, am I saying that right? I always get that mixed up. Tiffany, I was just about to ask you about What About Bob? Oh, I love What About Bob. One of my favorite comedies of all time. Love What About Bob. Absolutely awesome. Love that movie. Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss just knocked it out of the park. And Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray, not to that degree that we saw in the movie, but they've had a not a very good relationship over the years. I think Richard Dreyfuss, Bill Murray knows how to push Dreyfuss's buttons, the real people now. And Dreyfuss has, famously said, Bill Murray makes me laugh because he is so fucking talented. And I can't fucking stand the guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has that, but I can't help but laugh because they have kind of a love-hate relationship. So, and I believe that really did kind of show. Obviously, it's being, satirical, but they probably, that animosity you felt between the two there, or certainly from, Leo's character, was probably not all that fake, to a point, right? Yeah, I love that movie. Love it. Let's see here. Scrolling back. Jacqueline McEwen says, I heard it was from 1979. The guy had been using a tape recorder to record the music and decided to keep... Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's entirely possible. I mean, in the 70s, certainly small handheld tape recorders did exist, as well as, of course, the long, sort of more, the larger ones from Panasonic, they existed as well. So it's entirely possible. Entirely possible. But in this day and age, those things are so easy to fake as well that I just don't know. But who's to say he's not telling the truth? He could be, and I think it's awesome if he is. Oliver Mercer says, hey, Dave, you seen the film When a Stranger Calls? The remake from 2006? Yes, I saw it in the theater. I liked it. I thought actually it was a very good remake. The only thing that I wish they would not have done in that movie was shown you the killer's face at the end in the car, in the back of the back of the cop car. It was unnecessary. You went through the entire movie not showing his face, clearly. And you just decide to show his face? I don't understand that. All you have to do is maybe you show his eye, or maybe you just kind of, you're about to see his face, but you don't. It's unnecessary. It's the only thing I don't like about that movie that I can think of. I haven't watched it in a long time. But yes, I have seen it. Super chat from Ethan LeBlanc. Thank you, Ethan. Much appreciated. Can't stick around tonight. Just saying hi. Stay sharp. Thank you, Ethan. You rock. You are awesome. Thank you for supporting the channel. It does not go unappreciated. The support keeps these kind of live chats going because I'm able to set a time aside and do it. So it's always appreciated. Travis Lauderball. How am I saying that? Lauderbaugh. Am I saying that right? Wow, that's a tricky one, but I probably butchered it. In fact, I know I did. But you know who you are, Travis. Dave, have you seen Halloween: A Cut Above the Rest? It's the best Halloween documentary I've seen. It's on the Blu-ray disc. Yes, I have. There's quite a few of those original Halloween documentaries out there, and I have seen it. Yep. It's good stuff. Franklin Stein says, he's not gone. He's never gone. Oh my God. That is one of my favorite quotes from that film. You know, when his wife is like, well, maybe it's just, his Bob is his Bob. And Dreyfus is like, you think he's gone? He's not gone. And he opens the door, right? And Bill Murray's like, is this some kind of radical new therapy? And he's like, you see? Oh my God, I love it. That you can just, the slow, insidious fall into, chaos and insanity with Leo Marvin is just, it's such an those who love it, but it's not a comedy you see talked about a lot. So in that sense, I think it's underappreciated and slips under the radar. But man, it's fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Ryan McHenry says, hi, Dave. Do you think Hollywood should try to push for more original ideas instead of peeling around old concept stories that we've seen time and time again? Well, here's the thing, Ryan. They do deliver original ideas. The problem is that nobody goes and sees it. They're not sexy. They're not romantic. And I mean that in that they're not glitzy, right? They're not the box office draws. And this is a business. There are, oh my God, tons of original content that's being produced by Netflix, that's being produced by the major studios. The problem is, what gets all the attention, what makes the money are the shit that you know and love, the nostalgia. That's what makes the money. So that's what they put front and center. But if original ideas like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of movies that come out like, I don't know, I can't think one off the top of my head, and that's not because there isn't one. It's because I'm trying to be specific, but like there are a lot of original ideas that are out there. They're just not as profitable. And I mean, think about this. Think about it. This is the world we live in. Okay. Think about this. All right. The first Transformers movie comes out 2007. Not a bad movie, right? Pretty good. We all kind of, I think we all can agree that first Transformers film was pretty cool. And pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty good. And then, by and large, I'm not saying maybe you didn't like the rest of them or you didn't like this one over the other, but by and large, the general consensus is that's where it stopped. And the rest of the Transformers films were dog shit show movies. But you know what? I think, maybe one of them didn't, but the rest of them all made over $1 billion at the box office. You're still going to see it. What are you doing? Why? You're still going to see it. And that's all that matters. It's show business. And so if you really want to make a statement, you make a statement at the box office. That's what you do. If the Transformers movies, if they continue to, if the third one and the fourth one only made $200 million at the box office, we wouldn't have got the other two that came after it. So it's just, unfortunately, we live in a day and age where the nostalgia and the proven properties are the stuff that makes money. So, and this is a business. So they keep recycling the same story, but in different ways because you eat it up. And we all do. I'm guilty of it as well, right? So it's not that original ideas and concepts are not there. They're just not as profitable, unfortunately. Like right now, I'm watching a series on Netflix called Dark. Have you guys seen that? It's the first original Netflix series in German. I'm watching it dubbed, though. I'm not watching the subtitles. It is fucking fantastic. Have you guys watched this? It's deep, it's cerebral, the concepts are fantastic. Oh my God, like it's deep. It's deep. So if you don't like to think or to have your thoughts challenged, it may not be for you, but it is. I think I might be enjoying watching Dark more than I enjoy watching Stranger Things. And it's not because I like it better than that. They're two completely different shows, right? But Dark is just so fascinating and interesting. And it's so like the concepts are so deep. It's much bigger picture concepts, right? Stranger Things is a different show all together, but Dark is just like, man, it's good. It's good. If you guys haven't checked out Dark, I highly recommend it. And it's original, right? It's original. You know, it's a little too cerebral for the general audience. So that's probably why it hasn't caught on in a lot of ways. It's like the OA, right? The OA was very cerebral and deep. Probably a little more accessible than Dark. And of course, with Dark, you either have to watch it subtitled or dubbed, and that can be a turnoff for a lot of people. For me, it doesn't really matter. But it's great. Fucking amazing. I love it. So yeah, there are original stuff. They're out there. It's just they're not as profitable because, you know, we love what we're comfortable with and what we know. And the big blockbusters that are proven properties that make money. Peter Kelk says, Dave, do you think Hollywood will wait for Spielberg, Zemeckis to pass on before they remake their classics, Back to the Future, Jaws, E.T., etc.? Yes. Oh yeah, I don't think we're going, well, Zemeckis, I think it might even be, I don't think they can make Back to the Future again until he passes on. Like, I think there's a legality around that, I think. Oh, for sure. We will see Back to the Future again. I mean, maybe not in that way, but we will see definitely a Back to the Future type of story again. Yes. After Zemeckis and Spielberg pass on, I think we will see, I mean, maybe not. But I definitely think, but all three of those movies, it's completely unnecessary to remake them. Completely unnecessary. Back to the Future, the special effects still hold up today, and it's all about the story, right? I mean, think about this. Could you really remake Back to the Future better today? Better today than you did in 1985? I don't think so. I mean, could some of the effects look a little better? Sure. But think about the effects in the movie. They still look really good. And think of the story. Like, why are we remaking it? It still holds up really well. Jaws. Some people will say, well, yeah, but you can do the sharks better. No. Have you seen the trailer for 47 meters down, uncaged or unhinged? Whatever? Those sharks look awful. They have not mastered the CGI shark. Sharks look like dog shit in every fucking movie I've seen in modern day times. And I'm not talking about Sharknado, where it's a spoof anyway. I'm talking about legit films like, you know, The Shallows and 47 meters down. You know, some shots look all right, but when the shark comes into it, it looks so computer. They haven't mastered it. And I still think the shark in Jaws, and I know I might be in the minority, I still think the shark in Jaws, the original Jaws, to this day, the mechanical shark, because some shots were real, the mechanical shark still looks terrifying today, looks real today. Now, when he's eating Quint on the boat and he comes out of the boat and goes, a little dated, yeah, I'll give you that. But the rest of the movie's so fucking good that I just don't, you know, and the story is so good. Could they really remake Jaws today, the original today, better than they did in 75? Could they really? The story, the characters? Not really. I mean, really? E.T., same thing. Could you really remake E.T. today better? I mean, maybe. I mean, all these films, maybe. But they're not so dated that you sit there and you think, you know what? We need a remake of Back to the Future. No, we don't. E.T.? No. don't know. I mean, because you know damn well that E.T. is going to be computer animated, and he's going to look computer animated, unless you get Andy Serkis and that level of Weta technology or something, but still, right? I don't know. But do I think that they're going to seriously entertain it? Yes. But those are 3 movies there that definitely don't need it at all. Super chat from Mark Williams. Thank you, Mark. Much appreciated. I love Dark. Original language with subtitles for me. Cool. Yeah. I actually don't mind the subtitles, but if I'm watching a movie and it begins and ends in a couple of hours, I can do subtitles. If I'm watching a series, it's a bit tricky for me because I find I'm spending the whole time reading, and I want to be able to watch the characters and their expressions and, the subtle nuances of the performances and things like that. And I find that I spend too much time reading. So I've chosen the English language dub. But Dark is awesome. Dark is just fucking awesome. I love it. It really makes me think. I love the concept. It's right up my alley. I love that shit. Let's see here. Ballator Media says, do you think Kylo knows Vader was redeemed? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Probably not. Probably not. That's a great question. And I don't think it was ever alluded to him knowing or not knowing, right? That's a great question. I love that. Grave Warmer says, what's the likelihood that Yoda will return for more than just a small appearance? And if he does return, how important would you like his role to play in the ending of the saga? Well, yes, I think we're going to get a lot of familiar faces. But I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time with them. But I don't think they're going to necessarily feel shoehorned in. Remember, JJ's got to wrap up, really at the end of the day. I don't know about you guys, but when I look at the trailer and the D23 footage, and because it's J.J. Abrams, so that's a big part of it, but it almost looks like I'm about to watch a sequel to The Force Awakens, right? Even Rey looks the same. She's dressed the same. Her hair's the same. Leia looks the same because it's obviously footage from The Force Awakens. It kind of feels like I can watch TFA, leapfrog over TLJ, and just watch The Rise of Skywalker, which is probably what I'll end up doing in the future. But I think we're going to get familiar faces. Yes. But he has to wrap up the story of these characters. And so the main focus is definitely going to be on Poe, Finn, and Rey, because it's kind of like, we don't know what the fuck is going on. I wouldn't be surprised. And some people have said that, it's going to be like a 3-hour movie. And, I used to be like, nah, it's not going to be. It might be. It would not surprise me if it was at least as long as The Last Jedi. Because I just don't see how you answer all the questions you need answered, how you resolve all of the characters' plots and development that you need to resolve, make it feel organic, not shoehorned in or rushed, all within 2 hours. I don't know how you do that. It almost feels like, because of the fuck up of TLJ, it almost feels like you need another movie. I used to talk about that with my buddy Bruce. We used to be like, you know what? Maybe they should split this into 2 parts. I know traditionally it's 3, and 3. Okay, I get that. But maybe in this one instance, you make it 10. 10 movies, a nice round number, episode X, right? You know what I mean? Maybe just so you have that breathing room to really develop and really, and maybe it was on the table. Who knows? Maybe JJ was like, and they were like, and he was like, and they were like, and he was like, all right. Now, do I think it's going to be 3 hours? Probably not, but I will be stunned. And really, I will be really trepidatious if the running time for The Rise of Skywalker is 2 hours and 20 minutes or 2 hours and 19 minutes. I'll be like, really? Because remember, a running time is with credits. So it's kind of like, really? Now, the longer a movie doesn't mean it's better. It doesn't, right? Some movies, 90 minutes is exactly what it needs to be. Some movies, 2 hours is exactly what it needs to be. But because of the, you know, the depth of unanswered questions and the fact that you're tying up not 3 movies, but 9 movies, you almost feel like you need it to be as long as The Irishman, which is apparently is going to be like 3 hours and 30 minutes. Holy fuck. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be 3 hours, but I think it could be close to 3 hours. It would not surprise me if The Rise of Skywalker was 2 hours and 40 minutes. I could see that, but we'll see. Let's see here. Any more super chats? Just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. I am not. You guys are amazing. And again, if I don't answer your question, it's nothing personal. I like to always be thorough with my answers and stuff. So I will read as many as I possibly can. Blurry Face says, Dave, what are your thoughts on The Strangers and its sequel? I think the sequel is dumb fun, but the original is the superior film. I agree with everything you just said. Prey at Night was difficult for me to get into because in order for the movie to be longer than 20 minutes, the characters had to make dumb, incompetent decisions to justify this movie continuing. And I just didn't buy into it. Great atmosphere, great mood, great location, dumb fucking characters. But The Strangers from 2008, I saw that in the theater and I really like that movie. Yeah, that's good. Although I watched it recently about a year ago, and I didn't like it as much as I thought I did. That doesn't mean I don't like it, but I remember liking it more than I did. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a sign that it's not aging well, or I'm not sure. But still like it better than its sequel for sure. Anthony Jones says, Dave, please, another Randy Savage impersonation. Ooh, yeah, the cream rises to the top. There you go. David Newton. Dave, what are your thoughts on the Wachowskis rebooting The Matrix? Hey, I talked about that earlier. Don't really care. It feels just a little too opportunistic for me. I like the first Matrix, not a big fan of the sequels, so maybe I'll be more excited when it actually gets going. But right now I'm like, I don't really care if they ever make another Matrix or not. So The Matrix wasn't a series that I was really into. Like the first movie, but the other 2 films I did not like. The Film Addict says, hey Dave, thoughts on The Master with Joaquin Phoenix? Also, I'm curious, how did you feel when he was trying to be a rapper and him in the infamous interview with David Letterman back in 2010? I haven't seen The Master with Joaquin Phoenix. I was unaware that he was trying to be a rapper. Although, no, maybe I did know that. That interview with David Letterman was extremely awkward and uncomfortable and hilarious. Yeah, he's a brilliant actor, though. Super chat from Joe Bucker. Thank you, Joe. Much appreciated. Big fan of the channel and your insight on filmmaking. The enthusiasm is contagious. Oh, good. I'm glad. Any new directors that you really love? Are films or films that you liked when you were younger but dislike now? Those are 2 good questions. The enthusiasm is contagious. Any newer directors that you really love? Maybe, but I mean, I'm really liking, I quite enjoy, what's his face there? Why am I blanking on his name? Denis Villeneuve, the Canadian director who directed, of course, Blade Runner 2049. He directed Arrival. He directed Prisoners, the first Sicario film. So I quite like him, and he's relatively new. So I like him. I also like Ari, whatever, I forget his last name now. The director of Hereditary and Midsummer, and I think there's a lot of potential there for him as well. So those are 2 guys that I like. For sure. But I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. And films that when I was younger, I liked but disliked now. I don't think there's any films that I saw when I was younger that I liked that I dislike now. But there have been films that I have watched now that I haven't seen since I was younger that look very dated and I'm not as into them as I were but I still like them because of the charm and because of the nostalgia. And one of those movies for me is The Monster Squad. I loved The Monster Squad as a kid. Now it's a little dated. The Goonies, funny enough, I think holds up a lot better. Yeah. And I am an unabashed fan of Howard the Duck. I like Howard the Duck. I know that's not popular, but I like Howard the Duck. Julian Salgadeo? Salgado. Hey, Dave, I seen rumors on Julian, the toenail clipper, returning to Halloween films. Thoughts? Yeah, I talked about that earlier. I couldn't care less. I think the kid is fucking adorable. He is an adorable little kid, but his character is shit. Dog shit. No offense to Julian. It's not personal to him, but his character was just stupid. It's just cute as all hell. But they ruined his character when he went, oh shit! And it's like, why is there comic relief in this? Imagine, okay? Imagine now, all right? Imagine if when Tommy says, you can't kill the boogeyman, Lindsay suddenly turns to Tommy and says something like, I don't know, something like, ooh, did you fart? You got to go to the bathroom, Tommy. Shut up, Lindsay, come on. What? Now, all I'm saying is that there's comic relief there. Like, oh, did you fart? Like, why is this happening in the middle of this? Why is he going, oh, shit? No, he should have been terrified, crying in the corner or something or whatever the case is. And then he's just like, Dave, you can go up there. Like, it's just so, no. Now, I don't understand why he's coming back. Why is he coming back? Why? Why? I don't, didn't his character serve its purpose? I don't get it. We need more Julian. No, we don't. But the kid is talented and he's going places. But this ain't it. Steve H says, hey Dave, have you seen the latest Joker trailer? And if so, yes, I have. I post on my social media, guys. Follow me on social media. If you're not following me on Twitter, follow me. The link is below. If you're not following me on Instagram, the link is below. If you're not following me on Facebook, the link is below. You got to get to that. For those of you that are on social media. Yes, I love the new Joker trailer. It makes me more excited to see the movie. Super chat from Nick. Thank you, Nick. Check out Mindhunter on Netflix. A must watch. I've heard great things about it. Let's see here. Just want to make sure. Oh, no. Okay, I did get that super chat. Okay, good. Let's see here. David Newton says, Dave, what are your thoughts on the... Oh, no, I already read that. Zach Axiola says, Ewan McGregor confirmed that he is reprising his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi for a live-action series focusing on his character. Your thoughts? I like the idea. I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of, if not the most redeeming quality in that film. In the prequel trilogy. He was able to... Funny enough, he was able to deliver Lucas's wooden dialogue without it sounding too wooden. Shows you how good of an actor he is. I'm intrigued, but I don't want it to focus on Darth Vader. I think Darth Vader and the Empire needs to be a presence there. We need to feel the Empire's presence. But I don't want this to be an Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader show. Obi-Wan, presumably over the next 17 or 18 years, did he just sit in a cave eating camel shit, going gray, waiting for Luke to come along? I mean, come on. He must have gone on some sort of adventure, met all sorts of crazy people, visited the Mos Eisley spaceport a couple of times. That's how he knew that it was full of scum and villainy and this guy. I mean, there's so much richness that you can tell with Obi-Wan. And maybe Darth Vader, he's in an episode or we see, but I don't want this to be about him because remember Darth Vader says in A New Hope, I feel a presence I have not felt since. I mean, it's very clear that they have not seen each other in 20 something years. So that has to stay there. And we don't need to see Vader. We don't need to see the Emperor. But their presence can be felt, within the certain things that happen. So that's how I'm hoping that goes. So I'm excited to see it, just as I'm excited for The Mandalorian. Really excited for The Mandalorian. Can't wait for that shit. Got to get Disney Plus. Damn you, Disney! Disney. Little plus. Yeah, okay. So make sure you guys got that. Anyway, so let's roll on here. Let's see here. Kwaimoto. Hey, Dave. Do you think that Halloween 2, 1981 is really that good of a sequel? I know you rank it as the highest best in the series. Well, it's relative, right? I think it's the best sequel in the series. I don't think it's a great sequel, but in comparison to the rest of the garbage, yes. Right? Because the bar is so low. Do you know what I mean? So now I think that Halloween 2 is a better sequel than it gets credit for, but in comparison to the original, I also think it's far inferior because they had to not only open up the doors in terms of the narrative, and we find out that Myers is related to Strode and all that kind of stuff, which was written by Carpenter, which he later regretted, but and I understand why he did it, but of course they were also competing against Friday the 13th and the other low-budget slasher films of the time that were delivering more blood, more guts, more gore. So they had to open it up in that sense as well. And people often forget that Halloween 2 was Dean Cundy was the DP on that film. And that shows, right? And like my favorite scene in that movie, one of them is when Janet is backing into the corner after, seeing that Dr. Mixter has the needle in his eye and Dick Warlock's face slowly that's the most Halloween 1 shot in Halloween 2. So, it's a decent sequel in terms of what they were up against, in terms of the competition, what they needed to do. It's and I am a fan of it picking up immediately after the first one left off. I thought that was ingenious. But it's still far inferior to the original, a film that the whole point of that movie was not to have a sequel. Because as I've often said, people need to understand that when Michael disappeared at the end of the first movie, that wasn't a cliffhanger to set up a sequel. That's not why they did that. They did that to bring the message of the movie home. Because Laurie says it was the boogeyman. Dr. Loomis says, as a matter of fact, it was, right? And then he looks over and he's gone. Because remember, it's completing the arc. Laurie's character didn't believe in the boogeyman. And Tommy, through the entire movie, is like, it's the boogeyman, it's the boogeyman. Oh, what's the boogeyman? Laurie, what's the boogeyman? There's no such thing, right? And then now it's her arc coming full circle. It was the boogeyman. As a matter of fact, it was. And then he looks over and he's gone. And it's like, oh, how could he survive that? Being shot, falling off. Oh my God. That's it. It's like a 90-minute Twilight Zone episode. That's all Halloween was. That's all it was. There was no more, right? But you could treat it as a cliffhanger to make a sequel, which is what they did. They capitalized on that opening. But that was not the intent. So anyway, you get me going on Halloween, I can go on and on. So, but yeah, it's my favorite sequel because of how it ties into the original. But it's not, but the rest of the movies are not, listen, 4 is probably the best sequel out of part 2. 5 is garbage. 6 is better than 5, but it's garbage. H2O looks nothing like a Halloween movie. I think it's garbage. Resurrection is garbage. Right? There's so much garbage in the series. It's just not a high bar, So that's how I feel about it. A couple super chats came in. Thank you guys. Love the show, Dave. Can you please watch Breaking Bad before this new movie comes out? I think your viewers would love your opinion and views on this A++ series, as well as the new movie coming out. Maybe. I can't promise. I might check it out. I can't promise because it's just not. I don't know. It's hard for me to commit to. Listen. It took me I mean, I still haven't watched all of Dark season 2, and season 2 has been out for how many months now? It's just hard for me to sit down and commit. But we'll see. We'll see. PC Pierce says, Dave, thoughts on Ghostbusters 2? Not as good as the original. Not as bad as people say, but definitely does not hold a candle to that original. WDMN 1989 said, thank you for the super chat, says, Dave, why do you look like a bootleg Captain Planet? Why do I look like a bootleg Captain Planet? I don't know who Captain Planet is, but I guess if Captain Planet wears a Star Wars shirt and glasses and a Raptors hat, then I guess I look like a bootleg Captain Planet. Rock on. I don't know who Captain Planet is. David Brooks says, Halloween 5 is not bad when you watch after 4 shots of vodka and 5 cans longer. And no, but that's the thing. It's still bad. My God, I've watched it with 5 cans of beer, a couple of shots of vodka. Yeah, and it's still horrible. Cody May says, admire the acting of Breaking Bad, but not much else, not a fan. Hey, it's all subjective, right? Anthony Wall says, Dave, The Boy Who Could Fly is an awesome movie, but would be a great remake. The Boy Who Could Fly. I haven't seen that in a... What year is that? God, I don't think I've seen that in years. Ethan LeBlanc says, do you think we're too focused on nostalgia right now? Yes. With all these reboots, remakes, sequels that are decades later, etc. Are they milking old successes too much? Yes. But why are they doing it? Money, 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 money. It's because of money. Because of money. Because they're tapping into the going home again. The feels. The being a kid again. They're tapping into it. And it all started with Stranger Things. Actually, you could say it started with The Force Awakens. But really, it started with Stranger Things. And or Fuller House. Because both of those came out the same year. Let's see here. Bump in the Night Studios just says hair. My hair? Oh, is my hair? I'm wearing a hat. You don't even know what my hair looks like. Oh, maybe you're talking about somebody else. Not so furious. I love that. Super chat, thank you very much. Says, is there any sequels to any movies that you like more than the original? Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. What else? Empire Strikes Back would be the big one. I don't like Jaws 2 better than Jaws. And to make a sequel to one of the greatest motion pictures in the history of cinema, Jaws, but Jaws 2 is a pretty darn good sequel. It doesn't hold a candle to the original, but as far as sequels go, it's pretty good. It's a decent sequel. Superman 2, the original Superman 2 was a pretty good sequel. I mean, they fucking... Superman 3 got Richard Pryor in there. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. It's like, what the fuck is going on? God, those were bad movies. But yeah, I would say The Empire Strikes Back, definitely. And I'd have to think a bit more what other sequels I like better than the original. Not too many. I mean, by and large, sequels are not as good as the original. But every now and then you get one. I mean, some people say The Godfather 2 is better than The Godfather. I don't know if I feel the same way on that, but I certainly can see what they're talking about. Super chat from Nick. Thank you, Nick. Says, Dave, seen Kenneth Branagh's thriller Dead Again? Yes, I have. I love that movie. That's a movie that came out, I believe, in 1991 or 93, somewhere in and around there. For those of you that have not seen the Kenneth Branagh starring and directing, he's also in that movie, as he often sometimes is. That movie is really great. That's a good movie. And I find a lot of those early 90s thrillers, like Sleeping with the Enemy, Shattered, Dead Again, they almost look like made for TV movies, or like I think because they're coming from the 1980s, even though they were theatrical releases or real movies per se, as the saying goes, when you watch them, it has a very early 90s vibe to the look, the production value, and things like that. But man, that's a good movie. That if you guys have not seen Dead Again, early 90s, directed and starring Kenneth Branagh, you've got to watch it. It's really good. Not going to tell you about it, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, really good movie. I'm glad that you mentioned that. You are the first person to mention that film since I've been doing this. Pretty cool stuff. Jay, the Movie Maker. Thank you for the super chat, Jay, the Movie Maker. Hey, Dave, thoughts on It Chapter 2? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. What you mean is my thoughts on, am I excited about it? Yes, I am excited about it. I am looking forward to seeing it. Comes out in just over a week tomorrow, right? So I am looking forward to seeing it. I've heard mixed reviews, mixed to positive. I haven't heard really any bad or poor or reviews. So oh, we're back. We froze there for just a second, but we're back. Oliver Mercer says Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. One of my favorite sequels in the Elm Street franchise, if not my favorite sequel. But I don't think it's better than the original. So that doesn't really count. Let's see here. Luke Glanton says, are you a fan of any of Dario Argento's movies? Dario Argento. That name sounds familiar. Let me just... oh, yes, yeah, okay, yes. One of the movies I like from him, did he direct Inferno? Was that him? Let me just go to his IMDb. Because he's directed, he did Suspiria. There was a movie, yes, he did do Inferno. He did The Story. Did he direct it? Let me just go down there. Inferno, yes, he did, 1980. I really liked Inferno. And he directed, he wrote Suspiria. And he directed the original Suspiria. Did he direct the remake? I don't know. He didn't direct the remake. No, yeah, he didn't direct the remake. Suspiria, I haven't seen in a long time. Inferno, I really liked. Inferno was one that I really liked by him. So, oh, wait, are we back? We're back. Yes. Okay. Just want to make sure we're back. Had a bit of hiccup there in the feed. But we are back. Okay, there we are. Sometimes that happens. Yeah, so I would say Inferno and Suspiria. And are there others on there? There's got to be others I've seen that he's done. Yes. I think I saw his 98 one, The Phantom of the Opera. I think I saw that. I have to watch the trailer for that. But those two I know I've seen, obviously. Suspiria and Inferno. Okay, we're back. Good. We're good.
Glad we're back, man. Glad we're back.
All right. We're going to go to 9 o'clock tonight. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Patrick Hartnett says, Dave, are you excited for the Halloween sequels or like meh? That doesn't mean I'm not hoping that they're good, but I mean, I didn't like the 2018 film. I didn't hate it. I didn't loathe it, but I didn't like it enough. And I didn't think it ended in a way that made me feel like I wanted to see more, of these characters. Like I really couldn't care less about Allison or Karen. Nobody was developed in that film. The most developed character was Laurie, but obviously she has a history. So I really couldn't care less whether they made a sequel or not. But they're going to, obviously, because it made $250 million at the box office. And as long as these movies continue to make money, it doesn't matter if they're garbage, they will make them. So, but am I excited for it? No. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get excited because I'm a Halloween fan. I always like talking about Halloween and everything that revolves around Halloween in the movies and the making of the movies. But I am pulling for them. I don't want them to fail. I want them to deliver something that is amazing. I want them to. I don't know if they will, but I want them to. I never want them to fail. So, My fingers are crossed. Let's see here. Did I miss a super chat? That's the last one I got. Good. Okay, good. Let's see here. What's going on? Lee Bowers. Jaws doesn't need no remake. CGI shark is horrible. Jaws is a classic. I agree. They still have not mastered the CGI shark. They haven't mastered it. They've mastered like tangible, like robots and like the Transformers look amazing. They look real and organic and actually in the frame and shit like that. And the apes from Planet of the Apes look pretty darn good. Some of the movements a little too flowy, but it looks pretty darn good. Sharks, I don't know. That's one of the reasons. Listen, I'm an unabashed fan of Avatar. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I really don't give a fuck. I think Avatar was brilliant, was fantastic. And I am really looking forward to what James Cameron is going to do with this next movie. And he is not just a filmmaker. He's not just a director. He revolutionizes technology. The technology that was used to make the original Avatar, the cameras they used to make that movie ceased to exist prior to that movie. The technology they're using to make the sequel to Avatar, or sequels potentially to Avatar, they're using technology that never existed prior to this Avatar sequel. He's like a Lucas in that sense. And I'm not saying the Avatar sequel will be like this. I don't know if the technology will be to a point where they can do this. But one of the things Cameron would love to do is be able to implement 3D in a theater where you don't have to wear glasses. Yeah. No glasses 3D. That's amazing, right? Cameron, there's an underwater world that's happening in Avatar, and he's doing motion capture underwater. It's never been done before, at least certainly not in this way. And one of the reasons why it's taken so long for the Avatar sequel to come out is because he's been working and developing the technology to be able to look at this. So when you look at the, avatars or whatever swimming around, you don't go, lame, fake, right? That doesn't mean that we're not going to be able to maybe tell a bit. I don't know. But I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, the technology's just amazing. Like I'm really looking forward to that. I forgot what your original question was now. For some reason, I forgot. I'm so sorry. Anyway, hopefully I answered it somewhere in there. Let me see if I can find it. I don't see it. Dave, do you think of kids? Damn, I forget. I don't see it here. I'm sure I answered it. Man, when you talk for 2 hours straight, like me, and you don't take a break, and you don't have a co-host, it can get pretty tricky. But yeah, I love Avatar, and I'm really looking forward to the... right, we were talking about the CG sharks. That's what it was. Yeah, exactly. Right? So if this new technology that James Cameron is utilizing for underwater 3D animation and technology and all that kind of stuff is great, maybe then they'll be able to utilize that for sharks or for fish. I don't know. But you can't tell me that when you watched, what's that movie there? Aquaman, that the sharks looked real. Now, I know it's comic booky and it's supposed to have a sense of whimsy and animation to it, but that's the point I'm making, right? So, quite haven't mastered underwater yet. Noah Haney says, I am dying to see you and Wes Hightower do a podcast on your channel, or his if both you are up to it. I'd be more than happy to. I don't know if I could commit to a podcast, like a regular basis, like I do with Tony, because that already takes up an evening out of the week. But so I would be more than happy to if Wes would be up for it, maybe collaborating on a video sometime in the future. I think that would be cool. Wes is a very intelligent, smart dude and has great filmmaking sensibilities, especially when it comes to cinematography and Halloween. Grave Warmer Super Chat. Thank you, Grave. Hit us with an improv Halloween trailer voiceover. Halloween trailer voiceover. I'm trying to think. What about what's that saying? It goes something like, how's it go? I'm trying to think of the lines at the beginning of the... Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. Ah! Isn't that from the original trailer? I think it is, right? I think those are the lines, right? I said that right? Yeah, it's Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. There you go. Let's see here. Patrick Hartnett says, I can't believe that Hollywood still hasn't been able to make a good CGI shark. It's 2019, damn it. I know. They just they look really fake to me. They don't look like they've improved over the sharks from Deep Blue Sea. Do you guys remember Deep Blue Sea? That's 1998 or 99. 98 or 99. The sharks in Deep Blue Sea look pretty much like the sharks do today. I don't get it. I don't know. Oliver Mercer says James Cameron has used his underwater camera work for Terminator Dark Fate as well. Will you check out the Terminator Dark Fate new trailer tomorrow? I didn't realize there was one dropping tomorrow. I will definitely check it out. James Cameron is my favorite director. He's great. He's great. And you never doubt James Cameron. Now listen, is the sequel to Avatar going to reclaim the highest grossing movie of all time back from Endgame? Probably not. But maybe. I mean, let's not forget that, China, which is the second largest market in the world now, has thousands of theaters now, didn't have nearly as much back in 2009. So I'm not saying it's going to beat Endgame, but the sequel to Avatar, I will be surprised if it's at least not a $1 billion picture. Sorry, a $2 billion. It's going to be a $1 billion film. I'll be surprised if it's not a $2 billion picture. Whether it starts to make $800 or $900 million more than that, I don't know. But I'll tell you, the Chinese love their James Cameron. They love their James Cameron sci-fi. They love their Avatar. We'll see. Now, did the 3D ticket sales help? Yes, of course. But it also helped with Endgame too. And the re-release, which wasn't a re-release at all, also helped push Endgame over, right? And did the re-release a year or two after help, Avatar? Yes, it did. This isn't an even fair playing field at all. It's not fair at all, right? You take advantage of what you can take advantage of. So it all comes down to how many theaters it was released in. Endgame was also released in more theaters than Avatar because there were more theaters available than there were in. So it all depends, right? It depends on the screens it plays on. It depends on how long it's in the theater. And it depends on, there's so many factors that come down to how much money a movie makes at the box office, right? So, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting. But the Terminator Dark Fate, so far, the marketing, I think, has been dog shit. I am not interested. I'm interested in the idea, but I think the trailers look like garbage. I don't think it looks like that small, gritty, back to the basics Terminator film that they said they were going to do. That's what they said they were going to do. This looks like shit we've seen. It looks like you could tell me that Terminator Dark Fate was a sequel to Genesis, and I'd buy it like that. No problem. No, the look, the feel, the tone, everything. Now, Sarah Connor being back would be like, oh, wow. But the way it looks like it could be a sequel to Genesis, no problem. I thought, when they were talking about doing this, they said, we're going back to the roots and the grittiness of the original, and it doesn't look like that at all. It looks like an epic, wild special effect blockbuster. So I'm hoping that the trailer tomorrow gets me more excited because it hasn't done that. Seeing 70 or 60-year-old Arnold and Sarah Connor and Fat Edward Furlong doesn't pique my interest enough. It's gotta, the story's gotta be there. We'll see. We'll see what happens, folks. Any super chats come in? I already answered that one. Okay, good. Let's see. Andrew L. says, what's the best and worst use of gore in a horror movie? I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is The Shining. I mean, that was an amazing use of blood. But that's a cerebral, psychological horror thriller at the end of the day. But that was fantastic. I don't know. The worst use of gore? You mean like it was underutilized or it just looked really cheesy? I mean, probably the worst use of gore for me would be an early 80s low budget, I don't even want to call it a B movie. It's like a D movie called Don't Go Into the Woods. And you could literally see like the hoses in the person's arms. It was a terrible movie. Terrible movie. And that was awful. So that's a bad, that's a bad one right there. Tammy Newborn says Terminator 6 is crap. 1, 2, 3, summation, Genesis. Well, we don't know. Why retcon movies when your series already deals with time travel? Like, come on, they couldn't just leave everything the way. Well, Tammy, to be fair, we don't know if it's crap. You think the idea of Terminator 6 is crap. Okay, that's fair, but we don't know. Maybe it's going to be a fucking amazing movie. We don't know. I don't think it looks amazing yet, but maybe. So, but I get what you're saying. You're like, I don't want this Terminator 6 crap. I understand. You know, I get it. Super chat from Rune Dog 34. Thank you, Rune Dog. Says, need alternate ending to explain Paul in Friday 2. Need alternate ending to explain Paul in Friday 2? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? You need an alternate ending to explain Paul in Friday 2. I'm not sure what you mean. You need an alternate ending to Friday 2 to explain Paul in Friday 2? Or you need an alternate ending to Friday 1 to explain Paul in Friday 2? I'm not sure what you mean, Rune Dog. Let me know what you mean, and I'll be able to elaborate a bit further. Zach Gaxiola says, do you think or hope that It Chapter 2 can redeem the bad rep that the second half of the story has? Yes. Oh, I'm hoping so. I really hope so. But I think it only has a bad... Like, really, I don't know if the second half of the book has a bad rap. I know that a lot of people think in the miniseries from 1990 that the first half was better and more interesting than the second half. And although I agree that's true, I recently watched the miniseries 4 or 5 months ago, I guess now. And I liked the second half better than I remember liking it. Maybe it's because I'm a bit older and I'm essentially the ages of those characters now, right? So I can't relate to what they're going through, but, you know, I can relate to it better. Whereas when you're watching it as a kid, you relate to the kids more because they're kids. And then the second half is dealing with a lot of the adults and you're kind of like, oh, you know, lame, you know what I mean, right? So that could be part of it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I did, but I'm not sure. Has Rune Dog followed up? He hasn't. Rune Dog, just put an @ You don't have to give me another super chat. Just put @ Dave McRae so it highlights so I can see it. Let's see here. Tammy Newborn says, he means he wants there to be a better ending that explains Paul's fate. Dave, it's so easy to figure out. I see what you're saying. Well, but we don't really know Ginny's fate either. Do we? I mean, she's the one that's being attacked. But is it a dream? Is it not a dream? You know, we assume that Paul, witnessing the attack through the window, would have gone over to try and help, right? So we don't really know the fate of either of those characters. Well, to be fair, Ginny is taken off into the stretcher. So we know that she's gone into the stretcher and into the back of the ambulance and taken off. That to be fair, we do know that her fate is that she survived, but we don't know. I get what you're saying. We don't know Paul. Yeah, I don't know. I guess Paul just wasn't, that's part of the mystery. Whatever happened to Paul? I don't know. Maybe Paul was wheeled out after and we never saw it. Maybe that's what happened to Paul. I don't know. Yeah, no, but you're right, though. We don't technically know what happened to Paul. And even though we don't know the aftermath of what happened to Ginny, we do see her being wheeled away on the stretcher. So I don't know. Yes, Roondog says an alternate ending to help explain Paul's fate. So we only had 50 characters in the super chat. Oh, really? Super chat only allows 50 characters? Oh, I didn't know that. Or maybe it depends on the cost that you choose. I'm not sure how it works. I've never actually sent a super chat. Hopefully I answered it. I'm not sure. Maybe Paul, maybe he died. Maybe, okay, here's an alternate thing, okay? She's wheeled away. She was attacked by Jason. She was left unconscious. Paul was able to get the upper hand, but unfortunately he was stabbed by Jason. He lost a lot of blood. Jason was injured and went off into the woods, and Paul was left dying beside Ginny. And when the paramedics arrived, they found Ginny alive, put her on the stretcher, wheeled her in the back of the ambulance, but Paul unfortunately died in the cabin, saving Ginny's life. He is a hero. Paul's a fucking hero. There you go, folks. There it is. Paul is a hero. Super chat comes in from Anthony T. Thank you, Anthony. Much appreciated. I'm excited for the new Halloween's coming, but I'm stuck on how they are going to show Michael's hand half blown off. Your thoughts? I think they're just going to show it blown off. Do you mean that you're stuck on how they're going to justify how he's able to do everything he's able to do, whatever that is, with just with 2 fingers blown off? I think pretty easily, because it was his left hand. And although James Jude Courtney does hold that knife in his left hand a couple of times, I think he would just naturally hold the knife or any sort of weapon he has in his right hand. I think what you mean, though, is that, how does he survive? Because isn't that gonna, aren't we gonna, that's gonna cause an infection, and he's gonna, maybe that's how he dies. Maybe that's how Michael Myers dies. Maybe at the end of Halloween Kills, the infection gets the better of him. Maybe that's what it is. I know that's probably not what they're going to do. That's not what they're going to do. But maybe he's walking around. He doesn't have a bandage on it. The bacteria and the dirt is getting into that wound, and he eventually gets some sort of infection, and he dies there on the ground. Maybe that's what ends up happening. I don't think they're going to. I mean, maybe they'll just show a bandage. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not really sure what they're going to do, how they're going to show it. I think they'll just show it that it's just kind of healed over, or that the bleeding stopped and it's just part of the mystery of who he is. It's part of his supernatural element. I don't know. I mean, there's no bandage on it, but it's just sort of naturally, not healed, but it's not bleeding anymore. It's just sort of there. And it scars over and growth kind of I don't know. It all depends on when this new sequel takes place. If it takes place immediately after the first one and it's the same night, then that wound would be really apparent. If it takes place a year or two later, that wound could be all healed up. So I don't know. It's a good question, though. Jim Dorsey says, have you ever walked out of a movie? No, I've never walked out of a movie. That's because I'm very picky, and I tend to only go see movies that I really want to see. I rarely go to a movie just for the sake of going to a movie. And I don't go to every horror movie that's released. And I'm not knocking people that do, but the vast majority of horror movies that come out are fucking dog shit. They are. I mean, let's face it. Very rarely is there a horror movie that's great. I mean, brilliant. Most horror movies are pretty good and dog shit. So when The Nun comes out, I'm not going to go see it. Why? Looks like dog shit. Slender Man. No. Why? Looks like dog shit. You know? It takes a lot for me to get to the theater. I probably only see about maybe, I don't know, 10 movies. And that's being generous. 10 movies a year in the theater, maybe. It's probably more like 5 or 6, you know, because I usually go for the movies. Okay, it's an event for me. I gotta see that. It Chapter 2. Rambo 5. Why Rambo 5? Nostalgia, right? It's Rambo, come on, right? Star Wars. Gotta see that, right? Halloween. Gotta see Halloween. But I didn't see Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 in the theater. I thought Rob Zombie's Halloween was dog shit. Now, I think it's better than his sequel, but, you know, do you want a plate of dog shit or do you want a pizza of dog shit, right? Rob Zombie's Halloween, to me, is a plate of dog shit. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is a gigantic pizza of dog shit. So, it's less dog shit, but it's still dog shit. I didn't go to the theater to see Halloween 2. I didn't bother. Why? Why would I spend my money to go see that when I loathed what he did with the first one? So I'm very picky that way. I'm not snobbish about it. I understand why people like to go to the theater, and I think that's awesome. But I'm very picky. Very picky. There are many cases where I see a movie and I see a trailer and I'm like, I can catch that at home. You know, I don't need to go see that. You know, because seeing it at home and seeing it in the theater, the cinematic experience doesn't change much. Seeing Star Wars or Rambo or Halloween or It Chapter 2, that's a cinematic experience I want. So I've never walked out of a movie, thankfully, but it's probably because I'm picky. And I usually go see movies that I end up walking out of going, that was pretty good, I like that. But every now and then, I'm surprised. Like there was one movie that I was going to go see in the theater because I thought it looked kind of cute. I liked the premise, which was that movie with Matt Damon, Downsizing. And my girlfriend and I really liked the premise of that. Oh, that looks kind of fun. Well, are we glad we didn't go see that in the theater? That might have been a movie that we walked out of because we caught that at home on Netflix. And it was like, what the fuck? Like, I actually liked the second half of the movie in its own movie. But it's like, why is it becoming this kind of a movie? It was like a completely different movie. I love the concept. I love the idea. But all of a sudden, it was like 2 completely different movies. 2 completely different movies. It made no sense to me. And if we had experienced that in the theater, we may have walked out. It's a good thing we didn't. So no, I haven't. Not yet. Not yet. I tell you, if The Rise of Skywalker is another TLJ, I don't think it's going to be. But if it is, I may walk out of that one. Okay, we'll go for a few more minutes. Did I miss a super chat? No, I have not. I don't think I did. Did I miss that one? No, I didn't. Okay. Let's see here. ACDC 113089 says, Dave, what is your favorite movie from the year you were born? Oh, 1979. Let me see here. That's a great question. Oh, I love when you guys ask fun questions. Not that not everybody just asks fun questions, but you know what I mean? Like kind of different questions like that. I like that. 1979 movies. Let me see here. Okay. Ooh, Alien. The Amityville Horror. Rocky 2. Let me see here. Steven Spielberg's 1941. No. Let me see. Ooh, a lot of pretty good movies. 79. Yeah. I'm going to say out of the ones that I'm just seeing here off the top, I'm going to say, oh yeah, Harrison Ford's the Frisco Kid. When a Stranger Calls. Ooh. Out of the ones that I see here, I'm going to say probably either Alien or... Yeah, Alien, Rocky 2, and... I know I'm picking 3. And The Amityville Horror is what I'll say. Great question. Thank you so much. I love fun ones like that. Let me see. Deshaun Riley says, Dave, my man, how's it going? How do you feel about the Final Destination franchise? I really enjoyed the first Final Destination. Isn't that the one with Devon Sawa? Wasn't that like 1999 or 2000 or something? That was years ago. Something like that. I think that was him, right? Really liked that movie. I think it was him. Maybe I'm wrong. But I have never seen any of the sequels. I think I saw the second sequel. But then when it got to it just becomes predictable. And we're just watching the same thing over and over again, just more wild ways to die. It's kind of how I felt about Saw. The first Saw, I think, is genius. Great film. I saw Saw 2, and I was like, okay, I see where this is going. So every Saw movie is just going to be more extravagant, crazy ways, to play the game. And I just was like, whatever. All right, couple more here. Tammy Newborn says there's a JC conspiracy in the Halloween series. John Carpenter, Jamie Curtis, Joe Chappell, director of 8-6, JC Brandy, and now latest edition, James Courtney. What are your thoughts? Pure coincidence. I think it's just a coincidence. Because if you look, you have to remember, how many movies out there of people involved can we look at the first and last initials of their names? Right? I agree. That's kind of cool. But then for that to be weird, you would then have to point to almost how most movies don't have that. And I don't think we can. I think if we were to look at a lot of movies and look at a lot of the people that were attached to all the movies in a series, we'd be able to find quite a few people that had the first initial and the same first initial and last initial. So I think it's just kind of, it's cute. It's fun, but it doesn't mean anything. Movie Juice says, if you could be brought in as a writer for a horror franchise, what would it be? Well, right now, I would love to be brought in for probably Elm Street. I'd like to come in for Elm Street. I think that would be fun. That would be fun. That'd be a fun one to be a part of. Jason Russell says, Dave, thoughts on Seven? One of my favorite psychological thrillers of all time. Love it. 1995, David Fincher. I often tell the story that my buddy Bruce and I, we had planned to go see Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers in the movie theater. Now, in 1995, I was 16. He was 15. But because I sounded like I do now, and I kind of look, I could always grow a bit of a beard. I got in, even though I had to be 18. Well, Bruce didn't get in. He was 15 and looked 15. So he went and saw 7, and I went and saw, because 7, you only had to be, I think, 14 to get in or something like that by yourself. He went and saw 7, clearly the better movie. And I went and saw Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And I remember it ended and I came back out into the lobby area of this little theater, and Bruce came out about maybe 20 minutes later and was like, that was amazing. And now I went and saw, I don't think I actually went and saw it, but I saw 7 later on TV a few years later, and I was like, oh my God, I should have gone and seen that with Bruce. I would have loved to have been able to see that I saw this movie in the theater. So yeah, I love it. Awesome movie. David Fincher, 95. Great film. The Hidden, most underrated horror in the Rescuers is The Rescuers. The most underrated horror is The Rescuers by Disney. So dark. I think I know that movie you're talking about. I think I know it. Okay, just a couple of more, folks. Two more. We'll take 2 more. Charty_Dark says Jason versus Rambo. Who wins? Rambo. Rambo wins. There's no right or wrong answer at the end of the day, because they're both fictional characters. Mangrove Pierce says, Dear Dave, any thoughts on voice actor Nolan North? Also, any voice actors that have inspired your voice acting career? Nolan North. Let me just take a quick look at who Nolan North is. The name is not ringing a bell to me. Nolan North. His agent is CESD. I'm not familiar with his work. So, Okay. I'm just looking at it here on Wikipedia. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with. He was Krang in the 2012. I know the original Krang. I've talked to the original Krang from the 87 TV series. His name is Patrick Howard Fraley. And so this guy played Krang in the 2012 series. Yeah, to be fair, I haven't heard of him. I don't know him. So, but it looks like he's got a good amount of work here. Any voice actors that have inspired me? Let me see. Any voice actors that have inspired me? I can't say there's anybody specific. I know that Don LaFontaine, the late Don LaFontaine, who passed away in 2008, who is synonymous with the modern movie trailer. You know, the inner world. I mean, that was him, right? He definitely was somebody that I tried to model myself after a bit, but still making it my own when I'm hired to do movie trailers. And then, of course, it's a little cliche, but Mel Blanc, obviously, in terms of all the cartoon characters that he could do. But somebody that inspired me, who was not a voice actor, but could easily have been, was my own father. My father was a journalist and a columnist here in Canada, and quite a prominent one for 40-something years. And I often say that, I have photos behind me here of my dad with the Beatles. I have my dad with Robert Kennedy, my dad with a former Canadian Prime Minister, my dad with Burton Cummings, who's the lead singer of the Guess Who, and my dad and my mother over here. It looks like they're on a cruise ship. I don't know if they actually are, probably not, but they're with Liberace. So my dad had quite a cool life, and but my dad was a very theatrical, outgoing, funny guy, and he did all sorts of voices and would break character and be like,
Yeah, well, I guess that's right.
you know, and he was hilarious. So even though my father was not a voice actor per se, he definitely inspired me, whether consciously or not, or whether on purpose or not. I loved when my dad would do funny voices. Now, voice acting is not just about doing funny voices. That's one of the biggest misconceptions. Oh, it's just about doing funny voices. No, it's not. It's about creating characters, right? It's not about, having a good voice helps. Having a nice voice or a sexy voice or a soothing voice can certainly be pleasing to the ears, but it doesn't mean you're going to be successful in the world of voiceover. Voiceover is really about your acting and performing abilities. Even if you're just doing commercials, right? You're very rarely playing yourself. You're often playing some fictional version of yourself, whether you're the boss in a radio ad, or you're the dad, or you're the announcer, or whatever it is. So it really comes down to that. But yeah, my own father inspired me in that way. I saw somebody say Frank Welker, or the name Welker, at least I think I did. Welker, yeah, Frank Welker. Oh, iconic. Frank Welker, Patrick Howard Fraley, who else? There's a laundry list. Rob Paulson, Maurice LaMarche. Just go down the laundry list of just greats. So really, really cool stuff, and it's extra cool when I get to be in a position where I get to meet some of these people. Like at the Voice Arts Awards last year, I had the opportunity to speak with Bob Bergen, who's the voice of Porky Pig, and that was awesome. Really, really nice man, and really cool. So pretty cool stuff sometimes. Super chat from Nick says, Dave, thoughts on Alex Proyas' flick Dark City? I am not familiar with him or her, and I am not familiar with the movie, so I apologize, but thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Okay, we'll go to 9:15. 9:15, and then I'm calling it. 9:15, I'm calling it. Let's see here. Wayne Downey said, Wayne Downey's talking to somebody else. Let me see. 111 Hi GH says, I just finished watching the Halloween video from Saturday movie night, then started watching the one for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Cool stuff. I have another Saturday movie night coming this Saturday. Of course, it's a live feed for level number 2 and 3 on my Patreon only, but it should be up for all of you to watch afterwards. I'm not going to tell you what it is, though. It's a surprise. It's a surprise. Yeah. Sorry about that. Let's see here. The Film Addict says, Dave, do you think Michael Keaton would have been a great Freddy back in 84? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Because back then, Michael Keaton was relatively unknown as well. I think to recast Freddy Krueger, they need to go with an unknown. They have to go with an unknown. I don't mean, look, unknown doesn't mean amateur. Unknown doesn't mean inexperienced. Unknown means that the work that they have done up to that point hasn't seeped into the upper echelons of A-list pop culture consciousness blockbuster work, right? They haven't become a household name, but they may have been continuing to work and they may have done some films here or there, but it's somebody that you don't immediately recognize, but somebody who is very talented and who can bring justice to the character. That's what I think they need to do. You sound like Paul Stanley from Kiss. Hardly. I appreciate it though. Let's see here. See if I can get somebody I haven't. God, let's see if I can get somebody. Edward Nito. Dave, do you prefer Godzilla in standalone films like the original and the 1985 versions? I kind of do. I have fun when I watch the old Japanese films from the 60s and the 70s. You know, like Godzilla versus Megalon, Godzilla. What wasn't there one like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla? I can't remember the titles now, but you know, all the cheesy B movie kind of titles. Like I like watching them, but I gotta say I much prefer watching Godzilla tear up Tokyo. Like my favorite Godzilla movie, and is the American Godzilla 1985. Now, the original Japanese version is from 1984, but so Godzilla from 1954, the Japanese one, had a sequel in 1984. But there was an American version of the 1954 film called Godzilla King of the Monsters, and that came out in 56, and that had Raymond Burr. And there was an American version of that sequel to that movie in anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, Godzilla 1985. That's my favorite Godzilla movie, and that's just about him coming back and tearing up Tokyo. I love it. Love it. Yeah, I kind of do. I kind of prefer him on his own. But I actually did quite like Godzilla King of the Monsters, which came out this past May. I liked it. I thought it was, I mean, I can't believe people were like, fucking human characters. It's a Godzilla movie. What were you no, look, could they have made the storylines? Yeah, sure. But come on, you're not going there for the characters. You're going there to see Godzilla tear shit up. That's why you're going. And that's what I got. So I loved it. Let's see here. Super chat from Frank Riker. Tom Atkins confirmed super chat. Frank, you witty son of a bitch. I love you. I love it. Tom Atkins confirmed super chat. I love it. That's funny. Thank you, Mr. Tom Atkins. Much appreciated. All right. Less than 2 minutes to go. Let me see here. Michael Myers. What is your favorite Jurassic Park scene? And can you do a Two Dudes and Some Bullshit about the Jurassic Park franchise in the future? To answer the last part of your question, that might not be a bad idea. We might be able to do that. My favorite Jurassic Park scene is in the first Jurassic Park when we are first introduced to the T-Rex. I mean, I remember seeing Jurassic Park in the theater. I was 14. And Jurassic Park changed again the way movies were made. Not quite on the level of Star Wars, not quite of that, but this was a time that, I mean, it was amazing, you know, and to be able to see that dinosaur come to life in the ways that it did, you know, this was a time when there was not a blockbuster being released every single fucking weekend. You know, now we're getting like 500 blockbusters a summer. It's insane. So it was an event. It was a spectacle. And it was amazing. And it was a Spielberg film. And it was just, I remember seeing that glass in the truck shake, and, you know, and they're looking out the window and the T-Rex comes out and his eye against the window. It was magic. It was fucking magic. It's why you go to the movies, man. It was magic. Love it. My favorite scene of all time. All right, one more question. Here we go. I got to skedaddle. One more question from somebody I haven't actually. Let's see if I can get somebody I haven't got. Somebody a bit different. It looks like everybody's. Let's see here. That's a statement. Tammy Newborn says I don't want them to retcon anything either. Yeah. James Jackson. Here will be the last one. James Jackson. At Dave McRae, do you have any plans with a collab with Cody Leach? We did. Yeah, I am still up for it. So Cody, if you're watching, I am still down for collabing on our Halloween video that we were going to do. But Cody's a busy dude. I'm a busy dude. So we just got to make it work. But yes, I am definitely down for it. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me here on this Thursday live AMA. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate all the questions and, of course, the super chats as well. It keeps these live feeds going, and I really do appreciate it. I think you guys are awesome. Remember, we don't always have to agree, but it's great that we can have this platform to be able to share ideas and share our thoughts and whether you agree with me or not, whether we see eye to eye or not, at the end of the day, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you tuning in, because if you weren't here, I wouldn't be doing this. And although I probably could talk to myself for a long period of time. I love you guys. All right, that's it for me. We'll talk to you guys soon with another video. I'm not sure when, but very soon. Alrighty, have a great night. Have a great weekend. Okay. Cheers.